All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to Late Night Shots Podcast, episode 114. We have Harvard wrestler Niko Katsuyoshi here. So, what's up?
What's up, guys? Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So, before we get into this episode, Derek has a quick word from our sponsors.
As all of you know, we have three very great and gracious sponsors. Body Art Nutrition is a small supplement company based out of Minnesota. Defense Soap for all your antifungal soap needs so you don't get ringworm. And then Liquid IV for when you're dehydrated. You can use all those down below. You can also check out our merchandise, chainwrestling.com/heavyweight nation for our new merch line. Other than that, we're going to roll right into it. Niko, welcome to the podcast. You can just keep yourself unmuted. We just kind of just talk.
Okay.
You're good. Just go ahead. Welcome to the podcast. Obviously, he introduced you, Harvard wrestler, but I think a little bit more than that. It's kind of social media influencer, sitting at 1 million followers on TikTok. I guess we'll just kind of start at the beginning of it. So I know you obviously wrestled at Wyoming Seminary, pretty much the best high school, preparatory wrestling team in the United States of America. So, I mean, if you want to just talk about your time at SEM and obviously talk about who your roommate was while you were there and all that kind of stuff, you could just go ahead and kind of just talk about your time at SEM.
Yeah, so I grew up in Morgan Hill, California, right next to Gilroy, where DC is now. Actually, really grew up with Chase Aldalte over at Michigan State. But in kind of middle school, I had been in contact with Bo Bartlett. He came out to a camp in Gilroy as a kid. We wrestled in the Freak Show finals when we were little kids. But he had moved out to Wyoming Seminary, probably a year prior. And his dad had contacted my dad about potentially checking out the school. So they had great academics, and I believe they had taken first at Prep Natties like a year or two before, and said his kid was out there. There were great opportunities for both wrestling and school out there. So I ended up taking the trip out there. Chase was also interested in the school, but I went out, met Bo. We really got along, and really, I don't know. My dad it was kind of a not really a choice of mine to move out to Wyoming Seminary. But my dad really knew it was in my own best interests, academically and athletically. And Chase was supposed to come out too, but didn't end up coming, wanted to stay in Gilroy, and
Wow.
DC ended up being there later. So it worked out for him as well. But I moved out to Wyoming Seminary after checking out the school, and Bo's family graciously allowed me to live with them the 4 years I was there. So I started in 8th grade, but was a year older than me. We really got along. We were kind of like brothers. And wrestling and school were great, a lot more challenging than my public school back in California. And the team was awesome as well, as you can tell by kind of SEM stats. I don't know if you guys want me to go into more detail yet, or
We'll just stop you, kind of just ask some questions. So,
yeah.
we asked this to Gabe Arnold, who obviously was a boy who grew up in Georgia and moved up to, cold Kingston, PA. So what was kind of like that first winter for you and Bo together, being in cold, Northeast Pennsylvania, where, it could be 60 degrees and sunny. And then as soon as the sun goes down, it's 30 degrees and windy and snowing.
That was it was really a rough experience for me. Bo was kind of used to it. What was that?
Were you at SEM when the blizzard happened?
Yeah, and the blizzard was actually called like Winter Storm Niko, spelled
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So Bo and I have a video on the internet of us like diving around in the snow in singlets. But winter was rough. I think it was helpful that I was like staying with a family and staying with a roommate. Helped like the seasonal depression. Nothing like the weather in California. Winters are still rough out here in Boston. But you get through them and the spring comes. They were tough to deal with, especially the sun going down at like 4:30. I never really noticed it until moving out to the East Coast where it was a lot colder. But yeah, winters were definitely tough.
Yeah. When we talk to, all the other some guys we've talked to, they've all been great. And I'm sure this video is going to do really well as well. But, everybody kind of said the same thing, that no matter if you were a starter or a backup, if you were to interchange any of those guys in the lineup, they would go out there and win a prep national title. And I think you could kind of contest to that, because before we started, you kind of said your folk style wrestling isn't really your mainstay. You're a big Greco guy. So if you want to just talk about, your time wrestling at SEM and what that was like, your 3 or 4 years you did at SEM, what was that like for you?
Yeah, so I was pretty much always the backup guy. Every time I really went into a wrestle off, I usually lost in overtime and just wasn't the starter. But Green told it to us all the time, exactly what you just said. We could put any of you guys in the lineup, and we'd still probably be the number one team in the country. But it was tough for me mentally being like the second string guy, especially living with a guy like Bo Bartlett. But I also really excelled in the classroom. I was one of the top guys academically on the team, and guys before me who were similar to me academically were going off to Ivy League schools. So I knew I was still in a great place, even if kind of being the second string guy kind of brought me down.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure all you guys at SEM, you guys, and I know your quote B team, your backup team, I know you guys were always out, always competing. So, I mean, what was that like, still being able to compete? And I mean, obviously you still got some really good, wins to be able to wrestle out of school like Harvard. So what was that like for you to, kind of still be a backup to, not really be able to wrestle at those big tournaments that you see SEM at, but still being able to compete and, continuing your career?
Yeah, I mean, at our little small team tournaments with our like B team, we're still wrestling varsity. Wasn't a big crowd or anything, but we still got really good competition. The first tournament I ever showed up to once I was a freshman was in New Jersey at St. Benedict's, and Blair was there. I think like a few of Blair's starters were there, and I went and wrestled Malcolm Robinson, like my second high school match ever, and lost like 5-2. And like, even though I wasn't one of the starters, I knew I was still really competitive with some of those top guys. I wasn't put into freestyle and Greco my first 2 years of high school, my first 2 years at SEM, I guess, because Bo's dad really just wanted me to focus on folk style. But once I got into freestyle and Greco in the off season, I really saw myself beating a lot of good people in those other styles, even though I wasn't the first guy for folk style.
Yeah, I think he just left. But yeah. So you're at Harvard now. So what do you think? Just academically, obviously, slower than normal school. What's a typical day in life for you?
Yeah. So we typically have lifts in the mornings, around 7 a.m. Unfortunately, like the dorm Harvard put me in is like a mile from those facilities. So I take my electric scooter over to lift in the morning. I usually have 1, 2, or 3 classes in the morning, eat lunch between then and then practice at 3:30. And then a ton of work. They always give us a ton of work in all of our classes. Pretty much until 10 p.m. I try to go to sleep around 10 just to be rested and ready for the next day. Back in high school, Bo's dad ran all the 6 a.m. practices. So we'd be up at 5:30, traveling over to the Great Hall to go wrestle, go play handball, whatever, at 6 a.m. in the morning. Definitely a different schedule for me now. And it's tough to do the same thing as high school, but still pretty busy days.
I see you're working on a big project right now. So, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I've kind of been into crypto since, I guess, middle school, when Bitcoin was really going off. But I have a lot of interests outside of wrestling. Always been really entrepreneurial minded. Bo and I started our own clothing brand called Project Ivy when he was looking at Ivy League schools back in high school. So we did that together. That was pretty awesome. I was also like reselling a lot of clothes and shoes, but this is like a blockchain Web3 based project focused on funding various cancer initiatives. So this is kind of the nerd in me coming out and really getting immersed into I don't know, some new area. that I just really found interesting. And it's a close kind of cause for me, having lost a few loved ones to cancer. But it's a lot of fun outside of wrestling. Just gives me something to do.
Yeah. So what's your major right now in college?
Yeah, studying economics. I would prefer if we had some sort of business or entrepreneurship major, but unfortunately we don't. So I guess economics is really the closest thing to that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, while I mean, I know you and Bo were doing the whole clothing, but I know Bo kind of blew up for doing graphic design. Bo No
Yeah,
Edits was pretty much what all the big name guys were using when they were committing to college. I mean, I think
yeah.
still, I think I see once in a while he still does, he still does the edits once in a while. I guess when he has downtime at Penn State, but I'm sure you two have kept in touch. So
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you're proud of everything he's done. What are you thinking about his career so far at Penn State?
Yeah, I think Bo's really in a tough position with Lee below him, and not really wanting to wrestle off for that spot and really hurt your own team. I think he's doing what's best for the team, and he's always really been a team player. I was there from the start of his like Photoshop entrepreneurship journey, and it's been great to see all the business he's been getting. I think I originally downloaded Photoshop and started playing around with it. And then Bo kind of hopped on and found out he could do all these college edits for guys. And he's done a lot for me, like post wise. He's done a few edits for me. So I really think it's awesome what he's doing, and always supporting him and still keep in touch all the time. We don't really have as much time during the school years, I guess. But he came up and visited me last summer. We drove down to like LA, and he met some of my friends. So we're still really close, even though I guess we're far apart geographically.
Yeah, dude, Photoshop is hard. I just dropped like a couple of shapes on top of it, toss on a
Yeah,
gradient, and call it a day.
yeah. Bo really went deep into like just learning on YouTube and doing it himself, and that was awesome to see because prior to that, he was probably only doing wrestling and working out all the time. Gives him a
Yeah,
little escape, which I think he could use.
yeah. So another big thing is like pretty much your entire team goes D1. You have
Mhm.
guys like Gabe Arnold, Kobe Franklin, Bo Bartlett, the guys who are with there. What's kind of the atmosphere in that room in high school?
It's honestly like still a lot of fun. I wouldn't say it's like hyper competitive. All the guys really get along. We're all pushing for a team national title and then individual titles at the end of the day. Sem just kind of brings in guys from all over. We're not a very well-funded school. I think we're a well-funded program. So you kind of get like the most nitty-gritty guys probably working a lot harder than all these other schools, even though you have them all in the same place. But I had a lot of fun over at SEM, and just with all those guys, and we played games a lot in the mornings, and we were always just clowning around at school and doing our work, of course. But those guys are awesome. It's great to have so many guys just all focused on wanting to get better at the same thing and ultimately wanting to go off to wrestle in college.
Yeah. I think something we have to touch on, obviously, you during this whole, cancer crypto, kind of thing that collaborates. I'm sure your former teammate Nick Buzakis, obviously he probably, appreciates everything you're doing as well, for the research, obviously with the loss of his brother, and we talked to him about that. Obviously, he said the same thing was, eventually that's something he would look for, into after, he's done wrestling his cancer research stuff. So I'm sure he appreciates you as well for what you're doing.
Yeah. It's been hard to keep up with those guys now that we're just all doing different things and super busy. But I definitely want to talk to Buzakis in the future and maybe find ways that he can get involved and see himself making an impact later on, because Greco was a huge thing back for him in high school as well. It's I think it'd be awesome to bring a friend and guy like that on board.
Yes, I mean, obviously, you being, at a competitive high school, one of the most competitive wrestling schools, and now going to pretty much, I want to say, the most prestigious university. how do you think SEM prepared you, education wise to go to a school like Harvard?
Yeah, so I don't know, Harvard and like Ivy Leagues really look down upon athletes. And I don't think people understand the work we put in our own sport to get where we were. SEM definitely prepared me for that experience. I think COVID really hurt, like going into college like, straight from COVID. But SEM definitely prepared me academically. I had a lot of great teachers over there. Two of my teachers senior year actually went to Harvard and Yale, and one of them wrote one of my recommendation letters. But SEM definitely academically prepared me and also really athletically as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll talk a little bit about the fun stuff at SEM. I think SEM does one of these big, like, kind of battle of the grades type of scenarios that goes on. I know I've seen, obviously having friends who've gone there and talking to the guys that've gone to SEM. So if you want to touch on that a little bit, because it, I think everyone thinks, hears about SEM and thinks it's such like a serious matter. But I mean, I think you could touch on a little bit about the fun that you guys had while you were there as well.
Yeah, I don't really like look back and remember anything being like terrible or like really competitive. I just remember all the fun we had, even though our preseasons were like really tough. Green always made sure to mix in a little bit of fun in there as well. I remember we used to have one of those challenges was to tape somebody to the wall and with duct tape and keep putting plates on their feet. And maybe it was just one plate and see which grade could hold it the longest. And that was a lot of fun. I don't really remember if we put a big guy or a small guy up there. There's benefits to both. You put the big guy, you can carry the weight. You put the small guy, you can easily tape him to the wall. I think we kind of got canceled by the school for that one. But it was a lot of fun. We always had similar things to that, and it really always built camaraderie among your own grade, and especially when the school year started and it was preseason, really got you to learn the names of everybody new coming in because there were always so many new kids coming into SEM, and you never really knew who was going to show up the next year.
Yeah, our school did something like that too with like these things. We did a human pyramid. I think it was like each team versus each other. And they put me on the top. And they gave it to the hockey team because they had like a 4'10" kid who was like no more than 80 pounds. He stood up on top of the pyramid. So I tried to like call an audible in the middle of this and stand up. And then the dude next to me collapsed. So I'm just like on top of the other dude, just hoping he doesn't fall.
I think we did some pyramid stuff, I think my sophomore year. That was a ton of fun.
Yeah, I mean, and then obviously I think we might as well just talk a little bit about it. I mean, obviously your presence on TikTok has been pretty immense. You've done, some pretty crazy numbers. I know recently, congratulations to you hitting 1 million followers. That's a big goal. So, I mean, talk a little bit about that. What kind of got you into doing the TikToks and everything?
Yeah, so my summers weren't like super packed with wrestling. Like Bo's dad always told me to take the summers light and give myself a break because the season can be pretty brutal. And I was coming off of like freestyle and Greco stuff anyway. So I was really on like Musically back in the day and like never could manage anything to go viral. And some friend of mine had went viral on TikTok and I was like, all right, I'll try it out. So I just kept posting video after video until something finally hit. And really just fell in love with kind of content creating. I always loved posting on Instagram, but you can't really go viral on Instagram. Well, not at least back in the day. I know you guys figured it out. But yeah, I really loved posting videos on TikTok and gaining a following and making people laugh. And really got into it when I got hurt my senior year. I had an MCL injury, so I wasn't really on the mats and didn't really have anything else to do. And really just started building up that platform. I don't do it as much anymore because I don't have as much time and it's not as like fulfilling to me anymore. My goal was ultimately 1 million followers. And once I hit that, I just really didn't have the passion for it anymore. Trying to do more YouTube stuff now, longer form, like college type content. Yeah.
I know I was reading into this one thing where they were like talking about it was like once you hit 100,000, like 90% of people stop trying, and once you hit a million, like 99% of those people stop trying, and then because like the
Yeah,
next milestone just comes further and further away. Like I think I
yeah,
posted 1,700 videos on TikTok to hit 100K, and the fact that
yeah,
like this niche is so small, wrestling in general, it just becomes like absolute hell trying to grow. Because I think my videos now I posted like 20 times in the past 4 days. The best one got 6,000 views.
yeah. It's really frustrating just not getting the views for like quality content. I never really did specifically wrestling content because I really would just want to do like entertainment and trends and make people laugh, make funny videos. But yeah, wrestling's a tough niche. That's why I never really got into it on social media.
Yeah. Are you allowed to join the Creator Fund, or would that be against like your school stuff?
I think now I can
Are you in it, or
because no, I'm not. I joined it like a few times, but it's just like not worth them suppressing your views.
yeah.
I think honestly they do bring your views down for joining, and it's not even worth the type of money they
I,
pay
th-
you.
I think what
Like
I
for
read up on is they would send it to advertiser friendly locations, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean, like
yeah.
I didn't see a suppression of my views. I mean, like I've had my fair share of videos hit like a million views after this. I think we're
Yeah,
close to
yeah.
like $2,000.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I'm probably
Yeah,
gonna get
I'm
six or
trying to
seven
do
of
more
these.
like YouTube stuff and like post different kinds of content there and really just start over making a new
Yeah.
platform and kind of figure that one out.
What's your
Yeah,
YouTube
everybody
looking
go.
like? Actually,
Like
I'll look that
everyone
up
goes
right
I have
now.
like
go stuff to
12K. I've been posting a lot of like my old TikTok content because sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. But trying to do like Harvard interviews and make them comedic because most of them are like
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah, I think you should do, I think you got to go around, get one of those little USB microphones and you got to hit the, what are you listening to on Harvard
I
campus?
was gonna do that soon. Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like that'll definitely go good. I think that's something you could post on TikTok as well as on
yeah,
YouTube. You post like
yeah,
like a short 20-30 second clip and then make like a, 5 to 10 minute video, make it on
yeah.
YouTube. And I think that'll,
Yeah,
that'll
that's what I've
definitely
been
go.
doing with my past videos, just taking some clips out, making it like TikTok format, posting that to TikTok to advertise the YouTube. There's a lot of like little things you gotta do. But
Yeah.
Hey man, I think we know it better than a lot of people that
yeah,
do
yeah,
this social
It's
media
rough.
stuff that
it
You
is
it's
know,
rough. It's
it's a grind.
frustrating.
people get
Yeah,
paid massive amounts to do social media nowadays. I know one of my friends works for like a decently big company. Like they have about you know them. I mean, I can't say they have about 10 million followers. He's just like one of the people. All he does is literally takes their long form content, edits it down, makes it the 9:16 format, so it's TikTok friendly, and he gets paid like well in the six figures.
that's crazy.
Yeah, like 300 to 400,000 just for doing like 5-10 videos. Maybe adding subtitles and stuff.
Jeez,
Yeah,
I
it's
gotta
like
go into that.
yeah, dude, it's crazy. I've been trying to, but like it comes to like a point. It's like, do I want to work on this or do I just want to sell it to someone? Because
Yeah,
right now,
yeah,
like, tell me like if Barstool like offered me like be like, yo, rebrand yourself to Barstool Wrestling. You telling me I shouldn't do it? Like,
Oh yeah, we do that in a heartbeat,
I
man.
would, but
yeah,
then we
Barstool
lose
yeah,
Wrestling.
everything else. Like, I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
I
Some
thought
of the
about it.
creative ability.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it was an honor today. Gabe Deans called us the Barstool of Wrestling. He's like, yeah, you guys are the Barstool of the wrestling
His
community.
his cousin's actually the one filming my videos and editing them.
Really?
Yeah, Doke. He's on the Harvard wrestling team. His brother Zeth graduated last year. But yeah, they're all related.
that's
That's
awesome.
awesome. It's a
Yeah.
small world, man. It really is a small world.
Yeah, yep.
So I guess we'll talk a little about, we talked about it before we started recording, but you getting third at the World Team Trials for Greco. I mean, obviously Greco season's right, about to start in I think a week. So
Yeah.
I mean, are you looking forward to trying to get on that world team?
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what happens. I don't have a ton of like Greco partners. Last year I showed up to the World Team Trials with 3 practices under my belt. I was
And got
doing like
third.
yeah, I was doing freestyle
Wow.
otherwise, but did a lot of judo as a kid before I even started wrestling. So that really translated well to Greco because it's pretty much the exact same thing. And Greco is pretty great because you can get an 8-point tech. You can throw someone twice and the match be over. So learned a lot of like throwing technique from judo as a kid, and it's probably my favorite style. But up until now, I've really never gotten to specialize in it. Prior, I was just doing both freestyle and Greco.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome to hear that you got third at, such a prestigious event like the World Team Trials after practicing 3 times. So, I think we're excited. I think it's, it's a very, possible outcome to see you make the world team. And I'm sure you're excited to have that, become a reality as well.
Yeah, and I've already seen Bo do it last year. So it's definitely cool, like having a role model and having someone who's done it before you. So yeah, just looking forward to it.
It's awesome. Good
What
to
do
hear.
are you still junior eligible?
Yes, I'm last year U20. I actually got held back in 7th grade, but then skipped my junior year of high school so I could graduate the same time as like Bo, since I was living with them. And
Yeah.
luckily they let me do it, and Harvard still let me in.
Good. So, I mean, if you want to just talk a little bit about that, what was that Harvard application process like, because you kind of said, Harvard doesn't really care that you're an athlete. So it wasn't like you could be like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm a Wyoming seminary wrestler. Let me go to your college. So what was
Yeah.
that application like for you? Was it a little bit easier because you were an athlete, or was it the same that everybody has to go through?
You get a little bit of an extra push if you're a recruited athlete because I think the coach can like mark your application and say like they're trying to recruit you. I think it definitely helped that Michael Doggett went to SEM and then went to Harvard the year before I did, and really pulled for me, I think, with the coaches. But at the end of the day, I told the coaches what was going on. A lot of coaches like dropped me last minute. They like didn't like that I was skipping a year. They thought I should stay in high school to keep wrestling another year. But Coach Weiss gave me a chance and really just said, submit your application and let's see what happens. And 2 weeks later, I got my likely letter and I was on top of the world for a few minutes there.
Yeah, man, I'm sure your parents are proud, you getting into such a prestigious university, that's got to be incredible for your family. And, I'm sure, Bo's parents were just as excited because, I mean, for a couple of years, you were their son too. You were with them,
Yeah.
living with them. So
Yeah,
I'm
Bo
sure
and I we were great roommates because I was really we were both really good at both academics and school, and Bo could have gone to any Ivy League he wanted. But I was on the higher end of academics, and Bo was on the higher end of athletics, and really helped both of us get better in both areas.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously awesome to have somebody like that through your entire high school career. So I mean, yeah, man, I think we should just hop into some fun questions, kind of let the viewership get to know you a little bit better. So we'll let him go first. His are probably going to be a little bit more wrestling based, and then I'll ask you some fun stuff at the end, kind of get some good laughs, and then yeah.
You're at Harvard, probably the best university in the country, one of the best in the world. What are your aspirations after college?
Still figuring it out. I really have a big interest in entrepreneurship and working for myself. And I learned that from Bo's parents. My parents always worked like local government jobs just because they're safe. But at the end of the day, being able to work for yourself is pretty awesome, and you're able to work on your own time and work your own hours. And so that's my ultimate goal after working. But I also want to like create products and different things that actually help people and help society, not just kind of money grabs.
Yeah, I feel that. So next one is your top 3 favorite collegiate wrestlers of all time. I want to say no. What's his name? JP O'Connor. Can't use him, basically.
Oh, that's messed up. Um, ooh. Oh, what's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson was on the Harvard wrestling team and was also team captain. So I think
That's
that's
awesome.
pretty cool. Yeah.
I'll let that one slide.
I
Normally we
I
say
feel
no
like
from the school.
yeah, I really like the Terrell brothers. It was good to see some like Asian representation, especially them being from Hawaii and like my dad, a family from Hawaii, and they did a lot of like judo stuff while wrestling. So I looked up to them, and Anthony Robles was a huge role model for me growing up. I remember being like 12 years old watching the NCAA finals and watching this guy with one leg winning the entire thing. Just really showed me kind of the adversity that he went through his entire life to achieve that goal. And I think I did a presentation on it in like my third grade class, just because he was like my favorite wrestler at the time.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
the last
I
one
saw,
is what? No, you got it.
I think I saw online somewhere it said that he's been training and he's gonna, I think this month, he's
Pull-ups?
gonna attempt to break the world record for most pull-ups done in I think 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that too. I don't remember where, but I
It's
believe he'll do it too.
Oh yeah, I think if anybody could do it, it's got to be him. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
the guy's upper body strength was insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the last question, your favorite wrestler of all time.
Ooh. I don't even have one off the top of my head, to be honest. Um,
Anybody.
I'd say uh, I really like Kale Sanderson because he's a great person, and also wrestler. I had the chance to meet him when I tagged along on Bo's official visit. Well, not his official, like another one of his visits, and I got to go on the field and meet the guys. It was at one of the whiteout games too, which is absolutely crazy. And Kale actually drove us to Bo's house nearby on a go-kart. He's just great guy, like regular guy, and just insane wrestler.
Yeah, awesome. So we'll throw it to me. I usually ask some pretty fun questions. So first question, Heavyweight Nation and our fans, we like to believe we're some large men that enjoy some mediocre food. So if you could tell me the top 3 worst things that you've eaten at the Harvard Dining Hall, go.
There's a fish called Red's Best Catch. And they serve us like this some sort of cod, and Red is just really bad at fishing. I gotta say that thing sucks. They tried to do Korean barbecue quesadillas, and I just don't think those type of food should ever go together. And then one time, what did they serve us? What's it called? They served us falafel, and it tasted drier than saltine crackers. So
This is what happens when schools try to promote diversity. It's
All right.
bad. Like some of the things I've seen here, like they just like I live in like I'm Indian, but like I'm probably like one of like 3 kids on campus out of like 10,000 people. I swear they put out the most random things. Like they'll try to make Chinese food, but they'll like chop up chicken breast and just like toss it with just like some random shit just to make something. They tried to make
Yeah.
Indian food once, and it was like the nastiest thing I've ever eaten.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Wish I had some good stories about that, but my people created the cheeseburger. So we're gonna move on to my last question for you guys.
Can't do wrong with a cheeseburger.
You'd be surprised.
All right, so we asked this question to everybody. We've heard some amazing teams. You've heard some interesting teams, but if you could build your zombie apocalypse super squad out of yourself and 4 of your Harvard teammates, who would they be, and why would you take them with you into the apocalypse?
Ooh. I'd take Yara Slavikowski because he's a scary Belarusian guy and would probably eat the zombies before they ate him. I'd take my friend Shane. He's a real estate logistics guy. So he'd probably give us a solid plan on what to do. I'd take my friend Mikey. He's just kind of crazy. So I'd expect him to get me out of the situation. And one more. Let's see. Can it be a coach?
Yeah,
Sure.
sure, why not?
Sure.
I'd take Moose. I'd take Musafar. Because he's just kind of crazy, and he'd probably kill a few zombies for fun.
You know
His
what we gotta
brother's
do?
Bexod, so
Really?
yeah,
Like the
yeah,
one for Penn State?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The what is it? Bronze medalist.
Yeah, the one who took the Jordan Burroughs.
Yeah, yep.
We got to put this list up against Hendrickson's.
Yeah, so we have
Smartest
Brian
team
Hendrick-
versus like the actual
The-
soldiers.
I didn't say any of these guys were smart, but
Nah, I mean, okay.
I mean, they're at Harvard, so we kind of have to automatically assume they're smart. Like, you can't be dumb and go to Harvard.
that's you'd be surprised. Be surprised.
I'll be waiting for my offer.
But yeah, waiting for his Harvard offer.
Oh, no, man.
But yeah, no, Niko, we definitely appreciated it. We'll make sure we link your startup for your crypto,
Appreciate it.
crypto research project. Yeah, we'll definitely link that down below. And yeah, it was a pleasure having you. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. This was awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
Appreciate you coming on. So, yeah, this has been episode 114 of Late Night Shots. We'll see you guys again next time.